All right, folks, welcome back to the Tiger Sports Show, where we give you the rundown every week of what's going on in Hastings High Athletics. We're moving to our new time slot here on Sunday afternoon. It turns out that an old man like me has trouble doing the show after basketball practice. I kept being too tired or just forgetting. But I'm back along with my co-host and little brother Trent Mays. How you doing this week, Trent?
All after my bout with two-footed leaves drifts today. We're better now. I got dirt and different parts of my face, but I got pretty smart on how to do it, though.
All right, I'm glad you've been out working for a living. Well, we're going to get going with the best right here. We've got a special surprise here. We've got QB1 Jarek Sinek of the Hastings Tigers here to talk to us a little bit about the Tiger football season. There he is. How you doing, Jarrett?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
We're good.
I got the dirt in my nose, so
yeah,
not fun.
Jarrett's fine with that. He wants to get out of here and go hunting.
Oh, man. Okay, we'll get him out of here.
All right. Well, Jarrett, we just wanted to talk to you a little bit about this amazing Hastings Tiger season and this team you got to be a part of. Talk a little bit just about the team in general, the group of guys. I know you had a group of seniors, super tight-knit, put in a lot of work. Talk about what it's like to go through a high school career with a bunch of guys like that.
Oh, it's awesome. We've all been basically best friends since we've been in 7th grade, and we've all worked really hard to make sure that we could do this and have a high school season and be extremely successful like we have been the last 2 years. And like you said, we're super tight-knit, and then that junior class, we're really good friends with all of those kids as well. So it was really fun to be so tight-knit with that group.
That's a great point. It's really what it takes to put together a great high school football season. You got to have a few groups of guys come together. Talk a little bit about some of your receivers. You know, we watched you all year working with those guys, seeming to know what they were going to do before they did it. You know, talk about some of the chemistry you guys developed.
So we worked all summer on just timing with certain routes so that we would be successful during the year. So we'd throw twice a week. We threw twice a week over quarantine and twice a week over the summer break. And we got really, really well timed up so that our routes were good. And then Carson had a crazy season. He got over 1,000 receiving yards. And then BK, Braden, I think he had 23 catches for like 700 yards, which is heard of.
Just almost 30 yards a catch.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, the numbers you guys put up, I mean, it doesn't even look like the football I played in high school sometimes. My favorite part is you going over to the bench every single play to get the play from Coach Shoemaker. Tell me a little bit. You know, what can you guys all communicate in that little bit of time between plays?
We talk a lot about different linebacker alignments and the D line and if they're going to slant which way and different calls that they've been making all game and stuff. And then we talk about different coverages, like if Elkhorn would have been in a cover 3, what play we would have ran instead of the one that was called. And so we actually get to talk about a lot of stuff in that little 15 seconds that I'm over there.
Well, I can tell you hustle over there every time. Tell me, how much are you changing things up when you get the first look at the defense? I mean, you've talked to Coach, now you're back up calling the signals. How much are you changing things up at that point?
We don't change a lot. Like usually it's just we change the line call or something specific about how they're going to slant so that what we do is more successful than what they're going to do. So we don't change a ton of stuff, just the little things to make sure what we do is going to work.
Sounds great. Hey, you know, what are you going to look back on? Which games do you think? I mean, I know you're just barely getting some perspective on this, but you know, what are the games that are really going to stand out for you, do you think?
Last year the Beatrice one for sure, breaking that state record, and that was really nice. And then this year the 2 Northwest games, those are going to stand out a lot because past couple of years we've gotten beat by those guys pretty soundly, and we finally beat them. And then just making to the semifinals and having a real tough game against Elkhorn, that's going to stick in my memories pretty well.
Yeah, just just an amazing season. And you know, I'm getting old enough, Jared. I've seen quite a few Tiger football seasons, but this was one of the funnest rides I've ever had. And you mentioned that Beatrice game from a year ago. That was the first game my son and I had called up on the broadcast, and we're like, "Holy cow, what is going on here?" We didn't even know what to think.
Yeah, that game was really fun. I think 5 receivers had touchdowns that game, and it was just crazy. It's crazy to be a part of that and to set that record.
Yeah.
I don't even know anybody in my neighborhood who threw for 9 TDs in the yard ever. I'll tell you that.
The funny thing is you were close to having double digits.
Yeah.
You probably should have had at least maybe 11. He got on my question about your favorite memory. Beating Scotts Bluff had to be up there with the troubles we've had with them lately too.
Oh yeah, that's up there because, like you said, we haven't beat those guys in a while, and to have a running clock in the first half at their home field, it was a crazy feeling.
And you guys just jumped on teams so quick. And it was funny. My favorite memory is hearing the Scotts Bluff announcer talk about how they contained Little Shoe. They kept him in check in the first half. I thought, what about the other 5 guys? You didn't do much on them and Jarrett. So now, Jarrett, I was going to do this later, but I wanted to let you hear this part now. We just got messages galore on the Tiger football Facebook page the last 3 weeks. Tiger fans and Tiger alum in Omaha, Colorado, different parts of the country, and then even locally. And Sherry Hollister said it best after the game. She just wanted to thank you guys for giving Tiger fans something to do this fall, giving us something to look forward to. With the world just crazy right now, and you can't really go any places. And it finally sank in after I read that, probably for the 3rd time, and just how much Tiger fans just owe you guys because baseball, we lose baseball. And basketball last spring gets knocked around, and then just to get a full season now to 10 games, and I wish we would have had the Lions game, but I'm a stat nerd, so
yeah.
Tell a little bit about the things you guys did to keep the team healthy and playing.
We had a lot of precautionary stuff that we had to do. Like after every practice, Coach Shu would spray down our lockers and pads and helmets with different cleaning sanitizer stuff. And during practice, if you weren't playing or if you were on the D line or O line, you had to wear our face mask to make sure that we weren't breathing on each other as much as possible. So just to make sure we didn't get shut down.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's going to be, a big part of the story when we look back, and we look back at the pictures and we'll be like, what are those things around their necks, But just an amazing fall. Hey, let's talk a little bit about the future. Let's talk immediate future. What's basketball season look like for you?
I've taken a couple weeks off just to let my body heal from the bumps and bruises I got during football, and I'm really looking forward to playing for Coach Danielson. I love the dude. I've only met him. I met him this summer, and I love him. He's a great guy, and I can't wait to play for him.
At some point, we're going to come up with a few minutes to interview Coach Danielson on this show, but we've just had trouble fitting that in. Yeah. We're kind of hazing the new guy a little bit.
Well, and he wants to get on. He's trying to get on every week, but I keep telling him, you got to win a couple games first. So we don't just put anybody on. And
your body's got to be a little more beat up this year. You ran the ball a lot. That had to be by plan a little bit.
Yeah, I ran the ball a little bit more this year because I grew a little bit and I got faster. So Coach Shu implemented me more in the run game a little bit. And, yeah, I ran for, I think, 300 more yards than I did last year. So I ran quite a bit more.
Yeah, and you made some big yards. There were a couple points where you just, you made some big things happen. That was just a great deal. Well, let's talk a little further in the future here. You made a big announcement here recently. Trent, you want to get a question in before?
Well, Jarrett, we came up with the line "grown man run" on the show. You had several grown man runs, so that was our.
Well, that's true. Well, tell us a little bit. This week, I hear you're headed down to Lincoln to play some more football. Tell me how you came to that decision.
I came to that decision because I've been getting recruited by them since early this football season, and out of every school that had been recruiting me, they recruited me the hardest, and they wanted me to go down there the most. So, and I really love Coach Verdue. He's a great guy, and he's super funny.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get down there and start working with those guys.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an amazing experience for you. I promised you a walk-on story, okay? And I'm glad to hear that they really recruited you hard, because that's the Nebraska football way.
Yeah.
You know, they make walk-ons feel special because they've been special for Nebraska. I think you're going into a great opportunity. But the last time we had a couple fellas walk down there was '94 state championship team. Ben Butenbeck and Josh Cole, a couple linebackers, couple real snot blowers, couple real knuckleheads. You know, they were hitters. They walked on down at the university, and I think it's their first spring or their second spring. And so, like, Nebraska's coming off 2 straight national championships. So Nebraska's got all kinds of big superstars. And they're lined up for tackling drills. You know, the tackling drills you do first day of practice?
Yeah.
Like half speed, form up, you know, those things. And Ben Butenbeck gets to the front of the line, and across from him is Damon Benning. You know Damon Benning at all?
I don't.
He's a radio guy in Omaha now, but he was like the 3rd string I-back. But for Nebraska at that time, the 3rd string I-back was a superstar. He'd started a few games. Everybody knew Damon Benning. There's Damon Benning across from Ben. They're supposed to go half speed. Ben just lights him up, just blows him up, gets sent to run stadium steps the rest of the practice. I don't know how much of this is true, but I love the story too much to worry if it's true. Josh is in the line, and he's worried now that they're both going to get kicked off the team. He's like worried they're going to kick the Hastings guys off the team. At the end of practice, he runs down Ben in the tunnel, and he says, "What are you doing? What are you doing? You're going to get us in trouble." And Ben looks at him and says, "Now the coaches will know my name."
And
so I don't know. I don't know how much is true, and I know Coach Verdue will know your name, period. But I wanted to tell you that one.
And it's just great that you did this, Jarrett. You pulled the trigger. I was the first one that replied to your tweet because I saw it like 9:30 on Tuesday. And then the funniest part, my whole night, is these Husker fans were like, "Who is this guy?" And then 10-11 puts out your video, and they're like, "Whoa, play!" And then they kept talking about your size, how you're 195 pounds. I thought he isn't 195 pounds anymore. He's 6'2" and 215 or 210. So I'm just proud of you. I actually saw Little Tigers out playing with the football. Just on my way here the first time, they got the Tiger Rise jerseys on. You guys are going to know. You guys are going to leave such a huge imprint on the youth on this community. Hopefully Dayton Espinos and Carlos and Big Max, and I think the Ground kid's a younger kid. Yeah. You guys have risen Tiger football from the ashes, because it was pretty lean for a long time, and just the imprint you guys have had, and I can't wait to watch you hold up, wear the colored Husker hats on the sideline down the road, sending in the signals and stuff. And everybody was asking me, and I thought, the dude can play. That's all I know. So,
all right. Well, the only bad news of that, Jared, is now everything you accomplish in Nebraska, Trent is going to take credit for, because he was the first person to tweet.
Well, I was in, and he did. Oh, okay.
All right. Well,
you did surprise me. And the last thing I've had people, we've known about this, that they were looking at you to walk on, and people have asked me at the 2G Northwest games if I knew what you were doing. I was like, well, I know there's a D2 school, but there's something else I can't say. So we kept it pretty quiet, and I'm just so proud of you. I don't even know how many times you beat me in midget football. But I think it was a few times. But I remember because Q was always there, and Q was established, and a big blonde-haired kid. And I thought, Q's little brother, I thought this could be interesting. We're going to see how he does. And now you're not Q's little brother anymore. You're Big Jarrett QB1, and I can't be more proud of you. So,
all right. So is it Quentin you going hunting with?
Yep, Q and I are going to go to hunting.
All right. Well, hunter safety. All right. Let's take care of things. All right.
Yep.
Thanks for being on the show,
Thanks,
Jeff.
Eric.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. That guy is quite a character. We didn't even mention Sunshine from Remember the Titans, did we?
Or Johnny Utah from the original Point Break. We have a lot of nicknames for Mr. Cynic. So,
well, you know, sometimes a quarterback's got to be a little bit of a character too. You know,
he's got the hair flowing.
He reminds me a little bit of what? Oh God, what's Kurt Russell's character on Best of Times?
Oh man,
it's not.
Maybe our producer will put it in the queue. I don't even know.
All right. Well, Trent, let's switch it up here now. Let's go back through that great football season. What are you going to remember about this football season? Should we run through the games a little bit?
Oh, that's fine. I'm just going to remember what a fun, exciting year. They broke just numerous offensive records for points in a game. And it was just like Sherry said, it was something to look forward to every week because there wasn't a lot for a while. And I just remember back in June when the governor said we're good to go, hopefully. And then I started counting down the days till we kicked off at Lincoln North Star.
And that was early.
Yeah.
August 21. So
yeah.
Not only did we get a football season, we got one of the longest football seasons in Hastings High history. On the 21st of August, the Tigers go. A little bit of a short start there. A beautiful summer day. It was hot up in those bleachers.
Yeah, hot on the west side or on the east side, facing the sun the whole night.
Yeah, you and I weren't supposed to be there because we weren't technically within the Lincoln Public definition of who could be in the crowd. But we kind of finagled our way in.
Sometimes it's about knowing the right people. So
yes, indeed. And we saw a 35-8 Tiger win. You know, a close game through the half, and you know, a North Star team that punched their weight in Class A this year. You know, that was a good win.
Yeah, it was 8-8 at halftime, and had to be thinking. And it just took them a little while to get going, and big play after big play. They hit 2 big pass plays.
And then the next week, McCook at home, and you know, just a solid 35-14 win over a team that ended up 6-2 and in the playoff. Good, solid McCook team. And I didn't mention this, you know, when Jarrett was talking about what he'll remember. You know what I might remember about these boys is the picture on the M at McCook when they finally went out there and won that game out west. You know, McCook had been just such a burr in our saddle for so long that's one of the biggest things these guys did is went out and turned that around.
And then alarm bells that first game that went at McCook, alarm bells went off from state end to state end, from Chimney Rock to the Missouri River when the number we did on McCook that night. So. Yeah.
Well, then the next week they make the big trip west to Scotts Bluff. I think the only game of the year that I didn't see in person. We went out to Scotts Bluff and like you said, got the 35-point rule going, got the clock running on those boys out west for a 45-6 win. I just remember Gareth Jones, big catch early in that game. You know, one of the best timing patterns I've ever seen between Jarrett and Gareth to get the scoring going in that game. What else do you remember about that?
Well, the second quarter, we had those couple turnovers in a row, turned them into points. They scored 24 points within like 2 minutes of the game, and that just really put the Bearcats on their heels. And I just remember going back to what we talked with Jared about how they were claiming how they did a great job containing Little Shoe, and they forgot the other 5 guys who they couldn't stop.
Well, and that was part of the magic of the Tigers this year. You know, just weapons all over. And, you know, forget just the weapons who handled the ball. This is a team that took some tough injuries at different times in the lines.
Yeah.
And just had guys step up, had some guys play special teams who weren't playing a lot on offense or defense. That way our special teams were fresh. The depth of this team, like Jared said, that senior class was so close. They developed such a great bond with the junior class. It showed. The next week, not much to say. Gehring Bulldogs came to town, and you know that's a program that's not not at the Tiger level right now. And the Tigers made quick work of that one, 45-0. And that really ended the first half of the season because the next week, the boys were what, about Sydney when they got the call about a line?
Yeah, they were getting ready to go shopping at Cabela's.
And this could have been a season. I mean, you look at Bellevue West in Class A, who, a lot of people thought were on track to be a repeater or at least be in the final Friday night against Westside. And instead they get upset by Kearney in the quarterfinals after only playing, would they play 5 regular season games?
Yes, 5 or 6.
The virus just, it really messed with their season. And again, I think that's a testament to Tiger boys, probably a testament to Lady Luck, and I hope a testament to the Hastings community that we worked hard to keep them healthy. And of course, our opponents too, that our opponents did that. We're about to head into a basketball season. Well, I don't know. I don't see any way we get all our games in. I think it's going to be a stop-start season, and I think our football boys have really set an example of how you take care of business, even if you get on the bus and drive to Sydney and don't get to play a game. And then they came back the next week and got going. Yeah, Seward hung around for a little while, but then a 35-0 win over Seward. And then over to York, Trent. What do you remember about that game over at York? For me, one of the only games on natural grass all year is what I think. But
yeah, and it's just a different stadium. York's always going to play us tough. They moved the ball on us early on. They were obviously taking away the deep pass, and Coach Charlie, Coach Shu laughed about that with me a couple times on how they tried, but they couldn't cover when we ran Carson across the field. And then we just hit them with big plays, and.
Yeah, and we still had some questions then. York just lined up and went bowling a little bit.
Yeah.
Physical run game, and kind of the word around the state was, okay, the Tigers can score a lot of points, but maybe they can't stop you if you really just try to beat them up. And several teams did. And I thought the story of the season was the Tigers responding to that and really becoming a much better defensive team.
Yeah, and that was the first game without Big Max playing in the middle.
Yeah.
Obviously, their best interior player, Lucas and Ground and that group, but Big Max is Big Max. And they're learning, they're trying to put new guys in new spots to replace him. The bus got Jacobus. Landon got the pick six on the screen pass.
I knew you were going to make a bus stop here.
I got a bus stop. And then Zayd picked off the deflection and returned it to open the second half. So the defense did step up in that ways, but they had to start shoring up some things because it gave them stuff to do. And that's what you want when you're on a run is you got to have things to work on.
And there we get to Zayd Widener and Trevor Sullivan, Sully, really establishing a running game. That's the other thing second half of the season did. The next week, then we hit the first real big bump in the road. We come home for Aurora. Aurora leaves that with a 55-34 win. A night I thought that Aurora quarterback played great football. I thought the Aurora kids did a lot of good things, and I thought they got the key 3 or 4 football bounces went their way.
Yeah.
I really would have liked to have seen the rematch of that one.
Well, after watching them play Elkhorn on Friday, I think they played almost the perfect game against us.
Yeah.
They didn't play a perfect game after that. I'm actually well, it's sad to say this, but we win Friday. If we were in that game, we beat Aurora.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think the newspaper guys tomorrow morning will agree with you. I think you're going to see the Tigers at number 2 in the paper.
We were number 3 in the Lincoln Star. It came out yesterday.
It did?
Yeah.
What about Stu?
I will wait on Stu. What?
Is Stu's not out yet?
Stu isn't out yet.
Wow. I think that's a tough call.
Yeah.
I know Aurora has the head-to-head, but I think when you look at the whole body of work, you see that I don't think that game would have gone that way again. All right. Well, still, top 3 is going to be pretty good feather in these boys' cap. Of course, then we went over for Northwest, part 1. A great game over there. Jared has had some big runs in that one. The Tigers win 30-19. I don't know what you'll remember from that one. I'll remember. I didn't go over to that one.
No, you missed that one. It was cold.
I listened to Mike Will on the radio, and Mike could only see like a quarter of the field. That was one of the greatest pieces of live radio, probably since War of the Worlds, that Mike Will put on that night of the football game that you couldn't see.
Him and his cohort, Jimmy, they had a tough time calling the west end of the field, which was a lot of actions. Tigers forced 5 turnovers, which was huge. But they got stuffed at the goal line a couple times that made the game a little closer. But they pulled away to the 2 big Jarrett QB runs at the end of the game, proved to be the difference. And I'll just say it, we sank their boat. So now they always talk about rowing the boat over there.
Yeah, Vikings and all.
Oh, I know, but we sank it. I wasn't shy about that on my Facebook page. I was nice on the other one, but
I was glad they didn't have the Harleys out. Have you ever been over there when they have the Harleys all driving around?
Oh, yeah, they shot. Well, coming up, we're going to discuss that thing they shot off in the other game, which
the illegal cannon.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's playoff time then, and the Tigers host the first round. A brand new opponent. Doesn't happen very much. Long Tiger history. You don't run into a lot of teams you haven't played, and you've never played before. But the Omaha Roncalli Crimson Pride came in. Some good football players on that Roncalli team, I thought, Trent.
Yeah. They got a guy going D1, going to Buffalo, one of their linemen. Yeah. 280, and they could throw the ball, and they weren't. We talked about on the show up and before and after, they're not coming for a 3-hour field trip, so they could zing the ball over, and we had to score as many points as we could early and then sort of get the game over. We tried a couple times, but we got in without any injuries. They got Musgrave back.
Yeah,
showed up the center snaps and just take care of business. Jarrett still had like 300. It was his season high for passing yards. Over 350 yards.
And that Roncalli team, they had some big linemen who could move. That was an impressive team. And, of course, they had a lot of success the year before. They were used to winning in the playoffs. Then we go to the semifinal, probably the game of the season, probably one of the the quarterfinal to get into the semifinal. Yeah. One of the biggest games in Tiger history. The Tigers have to go on the road again because of the strange NCAA playoff rules, and they have to go over to Northwest to play the Vikings. It ends up being 45-42. Tigers win it in the last minutes. We'll talk Briar Minke in just a minute, but what else are you going to remember from that game?
Oh, just remember the radio guys had to sit down low again, so we had Epic Radio Part 2. Yeah. And I just remember Jimmy Purcell. He was yelling, he goes, "Carson Shoemaker!" when we ran the big reverse play because we totally caught them off guard. They blitzed into that, and it was perfectly set up. I'm just glad Carson didn't score because we got to set up with my new favorite kicker of all time. And actually, we saw in the state championship game Friday that there were kicking issues galore in that game, so they definitely needed a Briar Minke on both of those teams.
Well, let's talk about that Minke kick. And, of course, you know me, I love snap and hold. That's Musgrave to Sinek, Minke on the kick. Has there been a bigger kick in Tiger history?
Oh, man, let me think about this. I don't think so.
I'm shaking you off. I can't think of one. I can't think of one that's close, Trent. And, man, he just drilled that thing straight through.
Wow. He actually kicks the first one. We kick it, and I think he made it, but they got the penalty.
I don't think he kicked it on the first one.
Oh, he didn't? They stopped it before. I don't remember.
I think so. But I tell you, it was a weird crosswind going on.
Yeah, it was blowing. It was blowing southeast to northwest. That field goes against the grain.
Yeah, it's not a north-south field. Not a north-south field. They do things a little different over at Grand Island Northwest, out in the suburbs there. And that wind was right to left weird. And he's going to be the all-state kicker, isn't he?
Yeah, he should be.
And he had trouble. He had trouble with kicks. And Minke just drilled that. It always reminds me of Apollo 13. What line do I remember out of Apollo 13?
I'm not sure.
Steely-eyed missile man.
Oh.
Steely-eyed missile man. All
I
right.
just remember my memory after that kick was they were like celebrating. I'm like, you got 12 seconds to go, and it's not going to take them that long to score. So, and then Minky dribbles the ball.
Yeah.
And it plays ping pong, and then he puts his hands in the air and celebrates.
Yeah,
so.
he wins the last two plays with an assist from who went down and jumped on that? Was it
Nauert?
Yeah. Some great plays by Austin this year too. I tell you, Austin had an amazing catch in that game. You talk about the wind going right to left. He made a catch across the middle in the fourth quarter that ball was tailing. I want to say like a 9-iron, but I don't golf, so I don't know which one's tail like that. But it was tailing like some type of weird golf shot. And he chased that thing down and made a big catch. And then, of course, he covers up the kickoff at the end. Just so many Tiger heroes through the year. Then we get to that last semifinal, just a shootout trend, just a prize fight.
It was just like the week before. We traded blows. Drigets, they score first, huge drive. They're a big power team with big wide receivers. They just ran it right down our throat. Then we do what we do is we hit the big play. We got BK deep behind their two guys. Still don't know what their two deep guys were doing, and we score to make it 7. And then Bo Dreer gets the fumble and takes it in, or the INT. I can't remember which. And we get ahead, but then they go down and score, and it's 14-14 after the first quarter. And then it stayed that way till halftime.
Kind of settled down a little. Both defenses got their feet under them a little bit there.
Yeah, and then we had chances in the third quarter and just missed them. Had a chance at the end of the second quarter to score. Tough field goal opportunity, and then they missed a field goal too.
Yep.
But then the fourth quarter just turned into a shootout. It was last one to touch the ball. So.
And it definitely was. The Tigers with a great drive down that looked like it was going to be the drive to win the game 28-27. Just some great plays. What are you going to remember about that last drive there?
Well, I think we ran the ball or threw a screen pass to Carson.
Yeah.
Carson really got going in the second half to get him to the 1,000 yards, and we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, Ryder and I up in the booth were really saying, well, Elkhorn was playing safe in the back of the secondary, but they were letting things go in the flats. And once Coach Shue saw that and started getting Carson the ball out there, a lot of good things happened.
And then he just throws a strike to Calvage in the corner.
Yeah.
Sends the Tiger faithful. Oh,
Here it is.
Just a perfect touch on the pass. Tiger, they missed their extra point just before that. We blocked it.
Yeah, now
the Tigers are up.
He had a couple blocks on the year.
Yeah, and just a huge play. Both teams were kicking it short that game, which we found out in the state title game. The one time Aurora tried to kick it short, but then Four picks it up and returns it and doesn't even get touched. So
Four was a good player. You know, there was a lot of talk about Elkhorn about those two big slot receivers. You know, those 6'3" guys, Monte Cristo's kid and the other fella. And then that quarterback played a great game. But Four, that's a heck of an athlete too. And, of course, Elkhorn goes down and just has to make a perfect play to beat the Tigers.
Yeah, we got the huge stop. It was third down.
Yeah.
We got the huge – they tried to get Four outside. We hit him for a no gain. Yeah. And then they threw the perfect pass to the 6'4" receiver, placed it perfect in the corner where only he could catch it. And
when you have two great teams play, that's what you want to see. You want to see one team win it.
Yeah.
You don't want to see a team lose it by giving it away, and the Tigers certainly did that. They fought to the very last instant, and Elkhorn just made one extra play or one last play, I guess you would say. That ends the Tiger season 9-2. Only losses to the two teams who played in the Class B title. First first finish in the semifinals, a top 5 finish since 2000. Just a great team. They held the top spot in Class B for several weeks. You said they broke several records. You got any of those sitting in front of you?
Well, first of all, it's just the best season since 1994.
Yeah.
The most wins, which is huge. 9 wins. They just shattered offensive records. I think with Jarrett, we're probably going to have to make some new ones, like total yards and all that. Points in a season they broke. They averaged 37 points a game. 94 team at 340. They broke it with 384 at least.
Hey, I played on some high school football teams. We weren't great, but we were pretty close to 500. I'm pretty sure we never scored 37 points in a game.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we ever gave up 37 either. Football was just different. They averaged 37 points a game.
Yeah, we didn't even – I don't even know if we scored 37 points in some of the years I was here. So it was good that they did that. Little Shoe goes over for 1,000 yards, only the second player in school history. Can you name the first one?
Over 1,000 yards receiving?
Yeah.
Did he do a lot of play and pick up basketball in our driveway?
Oh, yes, he did. Little Pat Trader. He's not little anymore. No. But I would have loved to have seen what Pat could do with Coach Charlie's offense. And their games are sort of similar, but they're different. Pat was probably had some weight on Carson. I know for a fact because he used to eat all our food at our house.
I can't believe we're saying Pat Trader is bigger than somebody.
Yeah, well, that's true. And but Carson just a little smaller. But I take Carson.
How much faster is he?
Oh, he's very fast. But I would say they're both equally as tough because I had a lot of driveway basketball with a young Pat Trader. So he hits 1,000 yards. I still haven't totaled all of Jarrett's stuff. He would have broke. He was 7 catches behind Pat's season catch record of 69. He finished with 62. If we get that Alliance game in, he probably does that. Cynic just adds to his totals a little bit. But just to get, I wasn't sure he was going to get to 1,000 yards because the first half was just a grind. But then he got going in the second half, and he actually hit just the little shoe towards the end of the season. He almost has 500 yards in the 4 games, starting with the last GA Northwest game. Aurora sort of shut him down a little bit, but then he just went on a tear at the end of the season and said, "I'm quicker. I'm better than you. I'm going to score touchdowns." Haven't really got the Carson or the QB1 stuff yet.
He's gonna set all the records. I'll tell you that. Yeah. You can do the math.
Yeah, and then Little Shoe's got most of the receiving records, catches in our career, receiving yards. He had 11 touchdowns, scoring, passing, and 12 total. And QB1 had 11 running.
Yeah,
which was huge. And then you mix in the BK stuff, and
they're gonna set the total offense records. No question. Along with the scoring records.
Yeah, we don't. There's some of those records we don't even have yet, but I think we're going to start.
Well, we'll just set them up because they got it.
They got it. Great year. I'd probably put them up right with the 94 team. They obviously passed the 2000 team, and you got the 1940 undefeated team, and then the 2 state title teams. They're right up there as far as supremacy. And
see what I got on today? I have my 93 state champs. The 93 team's still number 1.
Yeah.
They still got to be number 1. Undefeated Class A state champs out of nowhere. Coach Walt Olson and the crew. I think you're right. Next, you got to talk about the 94 champs. They were Class B champs. They were 10-2 with losses to Norfolk and Kearney. But Norfolk was the Class A state champion that year. And then the 1940 team, no playoffs then, but a big end of the season Thanksgiving win at North Platte to finish that off. Wally Hop and the crew. And then I think you're talking about this year's Tigers.
Oh, by far.
In the number 4 slot, The other teams there would be that they're competing against would be that 1997 Pat Trader, Tom Chick, Bo Benkowski crew that went to the semifinals. They finished what they finished 9-3.
9-3, yeah.
9-3
They have the 1,000-yard. They have the 1,000-yard triplets.
Yeah.
1,000-yard passer, 1,000-yard running back, and then the 2000 team, which made the great run at the end. They finished 7-5. Had a chance to be in the state finals, playing at Memorial Stadium. We run trap play in a blizzard, and right at the end, and that sets up their touchdown. We're running the clock out, basically up 3-0.
Yeah.
They go in and punch it in right towards the end, and
that 2000 bunch.
What?
That 2000 bunch. That's maybe one of the greatest. Let's get better during the season teams I've ever seen. You know, really were. They just got better and better and better. I think you got to include the 1956 team with Dick Betcher and the center Don Fricky, Don Purdue on that team. That was a team that went 9-1, lost just a heartbreaking Big Ten championship game to McCook 3-0, or they would have been 10-0, but they finished number 4 in Class A. The 1950 team was number 5 in Class A. 1948 team with Ted Connor. I love Ted Connor. They'd be up there somewhere. And probably the 1953 Mid-East Conference champions with Dick Kleiber, my favorite alum and ex-teacher who I still see walking. That guy's still in great shape. And then maybe the 2007 district team. But I think you got to put this team up there, close to number 4. Four all-timer fighting.
Yeah, definitely. We had some lean years. I was saying that we came from the ashes a little bit. There was some tough years for Tiger football.
That's how high school football is going to roll. But I think you got them on the upswing. I think you were absolutely right. What you said to Jarrett is there's going to be a lot of little kids in this town who are going to be, I want to do that because of what they saw Jarrett and Shu and those fellas do. They're going to be, I want to put in the work, and they're going to want to dream big. And, I know that's one thing this senior class did right from the beginning before I even knew any of them. I remember hearing about them. Hey, there's a bunch of kids in the 7th grade who are like fast and dream big. And I'm like, all right, bring them on.
Yeah, definitely. And Coach Charlie's a winner. He won at Silver Lake. He won at GICC. And I think he's just going to keep going. And just those kids have seen the blueprint on how they need to do it. And let's just go and see what the next group of Tigers. The funny part is I had a chat with an Aurora fan after the game Friday, and he says, well, 2 to 3 years, it looks like it'll be all Aurora. And I said, whoa, buddy, there's some young Tigers they've got their claws ready to go. And we got a winner coach. And I love Coach Charlie, the mad scientist and stuff, and we'll see what they can do once we get through all these COVID issues and do that. So.
All right. Well, we're going to be battling them this winter. Next week we'll be back on Sunday. That work for you, Trent?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Hopefully somebody doesn't want to go hunting and we have to move the show up a half hour.
Oh well, that's all right. We'll go Sunday afternoon again. And we can look back on the fall season because we should have a lot of our all-state picks and things that we can talk about.
It was a great fall sports season, building off of last year's great season as a whole.
Yeah, really. The last 2 years plus this season of Tiger sports, there have been several golden eras in this school, but we might be in one right now. Sometimes when you're in it, you don't recognize it. We may be in it right now.
Yeah,
and we want to keep that thing going. We'll preview the winter a little bit. Maybe we'll get that boys basketball coach on to talk to him a little bit, and we'll talk about the swim team and the wrestlers a little bit, and we'll preview the winter and celebrate the fall next week. How about that?
Yeah, we'll have to tell that basketball coach that we don't have 2 hours for the show. So.
All right. Well, what are you going to say, Trent, to get us out of here?
Just say go Tigers, enjoy some turkey and be safe, and we'll see you next Sunday.
Go Tigers. Be safe. We got to keep these kids playing. That's it for this week. Thanks, folks.